Back at Bures again, completely new swim. Even in the past when I fished it for quite a few years, I never fished this bank. I always fished the opposite bank or out on the point. So I thought I'd take you through the basics of what I do in a new swim. Things to understand on a water like this, especially this time of the year, is that it is very weedy. There's a lot of lily pads, and even though you might not be able to see them, although there are the odd ones showing, you can see because of the flat spots in the wind. You've got to find an area that's both clear of weed, or relatively clear of weed, and clear of new shoots of lily pads, because trust me, you put your rig in the middle of that, if you don't get a bite or you miss the bite and you connect with those new shoots of lily pads, you're probably not getting your rig back. So what I do is I have a chuck around with a lead, and you can see that's a 4-ounce gripper lead. It's quite heavy, but it tells me where the softer bottom areas are, where the harder bottom areas are, but it also tells me where the weed is and where the lily pads are, because I'll feel them. Because of the shape of it, invariably they'll pull through past the lily pads, but they'll pick up the weed, and it gives me some idea of whether it was just a really soft bottom that I connected with or actually connected with weed. So I'm going to have a chuck around and see if I can show you exactly what I mean. So I've already chucked out the lead a few times, so I found a relatively clear area. Now that I think might be into weed, we'll see. So I let it drop to the bottom, it settles, and then I drag it back slowly. Now you can see the tip of my rod that I'm into weed, a lot of weed. And the last thing you want is to make it difficult for the fish to find your bait. So as much as they will root around in amongst the weed, especially the tench and the carp, no point in making it difficult, making it hard for yourself. So let's see what we come back with. There you go. That's a good example of what you don't want to be fishing in the middle of. And you can see by it, there's some old growth from last year, but there's a lot of new growth on it. And that stuff it'll cover your hook basically, and bury your bait. So I found an area just between some trees over there. I say that. Right. That's the extreme left. I don't know if you saw where that land is. You can see, I don't know if you can see that. That's coming back very smoothly. So that's a completely clear bottom. And I don't think it's until I get very close in back there, I'll just start to pick up a little bit of weed then. You just feel it, especially on a rod like this. Is only 2 1/4 pound test curve. So it's a stalking rod really, but it works really well. Nice for the bass off the beach as well. There's a bit of weed there, so we'll have another chuck. I think I picked that bit of weed up close in. And that should be relatively clear there. I spent about half hour. I mean, this is a long process, and I'm trying to give you a short version. See, I'm in weed again. Yeah. I've gone slightly too far to the left. And again, you don't want to be fishing in that. So basically, that's the basics of what I do. So I'm going to have a few more chucks around with the lead, make sure my area is clear, and then I'm going to get back to you and show you how I marker up to find any variations in depths and such like. So I'll get back to you in a minute. Next thing I'm going to do is get my marker out. You see I've got 2-ounce lead at the bottom with a couple of swivels connected, and then my float, conventional marker float. But I don't do what most people do with a marker, where they measure it foot, a foot, a foot. Because especially on a water like Alton, you're measuring 20 foot of water. If you overdo it by an inch each time, that's 20 inches out. The other thing with doing it like that, you can't find any slight variation in the bottom. And I always look for anything, any depression, any little shelf or anything like that, little dip, something that might be a feature. Like bloodworm, it might just give the fish a bit of security. And the way I do this is I fish my slider, my float like a slider. So I don't know if you can see, I've got a couple of beads just there, and basically that's to make sure they don't move. And my float goes up, sits like that, And if it's sitting like that, I know I've got the exact depth. If it moves and I can't see it, I know I found a deeper area. If it comes up and starts sitting like that, I know I found a shallow area. I see if I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to see my float in this wind, but I'm going to have a couple of chucks around with it and see if you are able to see exactly what I'm talking about. So I've chucked around already a couple of times. I found a nice area which is completely clear, and it's a bit deeper than it is further out nearer. There's a patch of lily pads. You might just be able to see them on the surface out there, but I'm not sure in this wind. But there's a small patch of lily pads. And I looked on Google Earth before I came and got myself a map. And I know where the gaps are in the middle of summer. I know where the gaps are between the lily pads, how close they come to the bank. I measured them up, how long the gaps through the pads are. So I've got a picture of where all the new shoots of lily pads are coming up. So I'm just going to cut this out and see if I can show you. So I've clicked it up, as you can see, where I found a slightly deeper area. And my float should just be at an angle on the surface. I'm not sure whether you're able to see that. Just on an angle on the surface. And if I bring it back a couple of foot, it's a nice soft clear bottom. The float will sit a little bit deeper, and then bring it back again a little bit more. And then it's about an inch deeper than it was further out. I'm going to have another chuck with it because there's a little hole just to one side, just to the right of where my float was. And that's where I'm going to put most of the bait. And interestingly, that's the clearest area I've managed to find out there. It's about, I guess, 10 yards in diameter, this clear area. So I don't know if you can see my float's almost lying flat there. And I bring it in a few feet. And it's sitting a bit higher, so it's only about an inch or so. I'm going to have another chuck just slightly further to the right again. We've definitely found an area that was about 3 inches deeper. How big an area, I'm not sure. See, that's shallow, much shallower there because the float's lying more at an angle. So I know it's about 2 or 3 inches shallower. Right, I'm going to see if I can find that spot and then show you what I do next. I've got my marker out there, got my depth, got my clear area. But before I put my bait out, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cast my rods that I'm using. As you can see, I've got a feeder on this one, to that distance, and then marker it up, and I'll show you exactly how I do it. So first off, I flick it out. So next thing I do is put it on the clip, like so. I don't fish on the clip, but I need to know, especially on a weedy water, anywhere, wherever you are, if you've spent an hour or an hour and a half like I have, finding a nice clear area, slightly deeper area, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're doing an underarm chuck, trust me, sometimes it's going 5 yards further and you end up off your swim, off your bait, not in the area where you want to be, and potentially in weed. So I have a little bit of electrical tape like this, and then I just clip it round the line like so. That stays in place. When I cast out to that exact distance, I then take the clip off. If I need to cast again, whether it's because I've missed a bite or because I've hooked a fish, I come back to this bit of electrical tape, clip up there, and I know I'm again on the exact distance. It saves measuring up every single time you recast out. And a lot of people will go, oh, you don't fish on a clip. I don't fish on a clip. I'm casting to the clip. I'm then taking a clip off. and using a marker with red marker tape to tell me exactly the distance I need to be out. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to do both rods, and then I'm going to get some bait out. I'm going to get some ground bait out now. The rods are clipped up to the exact distance. My marker float is just slightly to the right of where I'm going to be putting my bait, and I'm going to be putting my bait in a line to the left of it. I've got an area of, I would say, about 10 square metres that's relatively clear. The middle part of it is very clear, nice soft bottom, not so soft that your leads or your feeders will sink in. I kind of suspect, because there's a lot of weed around there, there's a reason maybe that might have been cleared by the carp potentially, because there's a bloodworm bed there. Feeling around, it's certainly softer than anywhere else. So I've gone with 16 balls like this. I put a whole lot more sweet corn in. I put in halves and chops and quarters of boilies. There's a lot of rudd in here, and by me feeding the 1 and 2 mil pellet that I did last week, and the hemp and just ground bait, I felt like the rudd were hammering through my bait. And in the end, I was having to keep topping it up because there was nothing there to hold any carp. Yeah, I caught a lot of carp and I caught a lot of tench, but I should have caught a whole lot more, because I had long periods, long 3-4 hours, when there was fish about and they were feeding and I weren't catching them. And the reason was I had nothing left from where the rudd and the carp and the tench had hit me ground bait. The combination of them all together was clearing my areas far quicker. You know, you don't expect it to be cleared that quickly. It's April, but you know, we've had an unseasonably wet but also mild. So I'm going to get a few balls out, and then I'll show you the rigs I'm using. I'm using 2 rods, as I said. One's aimed at targeting the tench, and the other one's targeting the carp, or anything that swims really, and hopefully a big tench, because I've had some very big tench out of here in the past, albeit it was the last time I had any in any sort of numbers was 2016. Those fish haven't disappeared, they're still in here. I think with the number of carp in here now and the number of smaller tench, it just makes them a bit harder to locate. So so this is the rig. So I've got a fairly heavy, what we used to call the old Thamesley feeder. That's about, what's that, 50 grams. So that's quite heavy. That will set a hook. I've given the fish an amount of free movement. You can see I've got a stopper bead there. And the idea is the fish can bend down, whether it's a bream, tench or a carp, pick the bait up, still not feel anything, get side on, feels the weight of the feeder or a lead, whatever we happen to be using, and turns its head, bang, it's hooked. So then on here below the feeder, I've got a quick stop cover up bit of silicone to cover up my quick stop change. You can see one of those Calder, I think, do them. They all do them. Nash do them. Then there's a swivel. Then another bit of silicone. I like to cover up as much metal as possible. And then halfway down the hook length, this is a 10-pound black silk braid. Halfway down the hook length is a little tungsten bead. Then I've got a size 9, and you can see I've got it really tight with a little bit of silicone on there. Double reason for that: one, it holds the bait exactly where I want it in relation to the hook point, and also as the fish's lip goes over the top, it doesn't taste the metal. Then once I've filled the feeder up, this goes in amongst the feed at the bottom and it casts out like that. That's not tangling, because the last thing you want, especially if you're on a hard venue, is your rig to be sitting out there for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, particularly so in the dead of winter, and you come back and it's all wrapped round. The fish has picked it, dropped it, picked it. You've had single beats and you're thinking, why am I getting single beats? You eventually bring your rig in and it's all wrapped around your feeder or your lead or whatever you're using. So that's my carp and hopefully big tench rig. This is my pellet rig. Same setup with the feeder, same size feeder, same bits of silicone with the covering to swivel up, stopper bead, and then you can see I've got size 8 Drennan barbel hook. If you can see the blowback tubing on there, the shrink wrapped krill pellet, and then a bit of pink corn. I've tried pink and yellow and red, and they definitely seem to prefer the pink. but that might be purely because I've been fishing it longer. I hope that makes sense. With the hooks, you can see the way I have the silicone is so that the point of the hook, the silicone blowback tubing, holds the bait in place so that the point of the hook is just below the level of the pellet, so that when the fish picks that up, if they do try and blow it out, that goes straight in their bottom lip. Right, get the rods out. So it's Monday the 15th of March, as I said earlier. I'm back here at Bures, run by the London Anglers Association. This is a quick look at my swim. Absolutely beautiful compared to what it was like earlier with hailstone that was setting my alarms off. Yeah, these are lovely swims, very comfortable. Nice wooden platform, rods to one side, and there's my bivvy set back a little bit, and the car park's just behind me. Can't quite see it from here, but you can drive actually when it's drier right down and park right behind you if you need to. So absolutely fantastic, and all the swims are like this with these wooden platforms on. Very stable, very safe. Used primarily for my unhooking mat. So getting indications. It's just coming up to 6 o'clock, which is about the time it started happening. I've had my rods out about an hour, I guess. So as and when and if I get any fish, I'll get back to you. In the evening, we're getting a few little indications. And it just tore off, peeling line off the reel. This lovely creature. And again, another immaculate carp. Just had time to get the other rod out. Literally 5 minutes later, the other rod went off. This beautiful creature came to the bank, very lively. Again, fin perfect, lovely condition, solid, absolutely solid fish. Into 8, and been a bit quiet, as if I can say. It's been a bit quiet. Weren't getting any indications, and on the pellet rod, off it went. Nice tench. Got 1 or 2 marks both sides, like as if a cormorant or something's had a go at it. Same the other side. One of the older fish, I think, where it's so dark. Let's see if I can show you that. See that cormorant mark on the other? God, it's slippery. Cormorant mark the other side. Nice fish, happy with that. Definitely got a mark here and a mark here. Going to be busy. Who knows what's out there. Speak to you soon. It's 20 to 10. I literally just laid down. The old rod went off again. This absolutely perfect condition, common, not a mark on it anywhere. Lips, mouth is perfect. Absolutely solid, beautiful fish. Beautiful both sides as well. Not a mark on it. Not a mark anywhere. Absolutely stonking common. There's mirrors in here. 11. Another tench. Another darker fish. Slightly bigger than the last one. Still only probably about 4.5 pound. Pretty good nick though, to be fair. Got a split in its top dorsal fin. It's where it's been in keep net too many times. So I might have to bring my rods in for a couple of hours to get some sleep. Way this is going. See you, speak to you soon. By past midnight. Definitely going to bring my rods in for a couple of hours. Even though best tench so far, comfortably. Just about £5. Nice thick fish. Not very deep, but lovely, lovely condition. Nicest one I've had out of here so far since my return. So fin perfect. Onwards and upwards. A couple of hours kip, I think. So brought the rods in for a couple of hours. Recast out 3 o'clock, 3:05. This took the bait. Very, very lively. individual, big tail on it. Not a massive fish, but a huge paddle on the back of it. Very good condition. Get back and have a cup of coffee, I think. 6 minutes past 3, literally. I hadn't even cast the other rod out, and I hadn't even baited it up. And this took the pellet. Interesting, every single carp on a boilie, every single tench on the pellet. Again, not a huge fish, but very good condition. So I still haven't got that kettle on. Gonna go and try and make a cup of coffee now. Said there were mirrors in here. Lo and behold, somebody at the tension between. First light, as you can see, but it's a lovely creature. Very, very good condition. Feeding perfect everywhere. Lovely fish. Nice mouth. Don't think it's full very often. Lovely fish. Get the kettle on. Get the rods out. It's been oddly quiet the last couple of hours. No indications, nothing. Anyway, rods did eventually go. Interestingly, directly after I recast, another one of the tench, I guess about 3.5 pound. Male fish though, you can see by the old curly fins. So turned out a nice day also. So nice and calm in front of me, so if there's any fish fizzing or blowing I can see them. Keep my eyes peeled, kettle's on. 4 o'clock, been very quiet during the day. Just had this another male tench. Got a few marks on its side, scratches. I definitely think the old cormorants have been having a go at them on that side as well. Very obvious. I'd say these fish are only small, but they really scrap well. 6:45 in the evening. Been a bit quiet on the carp front. Another tench, female this time. Only small, but good nick. Got a decent mouth. A lot of them haven't. Interestingly, I switched to both to boilies to try and catch a carp. Caught this on a 15mm boilie. I do not know how it got it in its mouth, but it did. So let's get her back, see if I can catch a carp. First light, first fish for a couple of hours. Happy with that, biggest tench so far. Nice strong fish, very good condition, unlike some of the others. Very pleased with that. One of the original strain of fish. 10 minutes later, other rod went off. First one on a pellet, second one on a boilie, albeit it was a small krill boilie. Another similar sized fish. Very pleased with that. Very happy with that. Onwards and upwards, as they say. So, 7:15 on second morning. This beautiful creature came to the net. Absolutely pristine common. Oh, lovely thick set. Nice belly on it. Perfect mouth. All round beautiful creature. Absolutely made up. That's my 10th carp of the session. Happy with that. Wrap up. It's 9:30, second morning. I'm weary. Starting to pack away now, heading home. I shall put the best of the fish rather than all of the fish directly after this clip. And don't forget, if you've enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. It really helps the numbers and the YouTube algorithms, whatever they are. Yeah, amazing session. 19 tench. Started to get some better fish towards the end, albeit none like they were a few years back, but good condition, 4 or 5 pound fish. Happy with that. I ended up with 10 carp and a couple of real stonkers. I'll let you guess the weight. The bailiff said, please don't tell everyone how much they weigh. So yeah, you can see they're absolutely quality fish. And what's nice, I broke my mirror duck as well. So I daren't look in the mirror at the moment. I think I look a bit rough. Anyway, cheers guys, thanks for watching.